JuGrTalk.
Well. Welcome back, everybody. It is episode 2 of JuGrTalk. Of course, I'm your host, Justin Grimes. And you know what? Nice to see you again. So this is your first time here, which, it might be. Welcome. This is JuGrTalk, just a place where I start yapping and I don't know when to stop. If you did listen to the first episode as well, you know what? Thank you so much. I really, really do appreciate it. I know some of you listened in and, you've reached out to me. You said you liked it. So I think I'm going to just go ahead and keep doing it. All right. I'm thinking that maybe this will be more of like a weekly thing. But, I'm not going to hold you up too much. Let's start yapping. All right. So I got some news. Okay. A follow-up from last week. And we're going to get into just some helpful life tips. Okay. We're going to talk about Reddit. We're going to talk about fast food prices again. And we're going to talk about some of the future plans for this podcast. So, hey, without further ado, welcome to episode 2 of JuGrTalk. So, up first, let's talk about daylight savings time. Okay. Is it just me? Are we over it? What's the point anymore? Daylight savings time. Like, look, let's take a look at the history of daylight savings. I believe it was originally put in place to extend the amount of time that farmers would have during the day to plant the crops or what have you, right? These days, and there have been studies on this, changing the times for daylight savings does more harm than good, right? I mean, of course, everybody sort of looks forward to having more daylight during the day, right? Unless you're me, because I never go outside. That's a separate thing, though. But you know what? Losing an hour of sleep is not good. Everybody's tired on Monday. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. It's not a good experience. Even if you gain an hour of sleep in the fall time, when daylight savings time ends, I guess, it's just going to be darker sooner. There's no winning. Like either you're sleeping more and having more darkness, or you're sleeping less and having more light. Either way, your day's ruined. You know what I mean? Your day is just ruined. Daylight savings time, beginning, ending, your day is ruined. I'm over it. Some states have already passed laws to get rid of the whole daylight savings time concept as a whole. And I believe that the way that they did that is that they just always have daylight savings time, right? So I know like Arizona, for example, no longer does daylight savings time. And some other areas too. I know that Washington State, for example, I used to live in the Seattle area. There was legislation to get rid of daylight savings time there as well, or at least the transition between standard time and daylight savings, right? I live in New York, I believe I saw, those like GeoGuessr quizzes? Well, they have one for just general like geography facts, right? Or like economic facts. And I was watching this. I was watching like a stream of it or something. And it was a comparison between San Diego County and Onondaga County in New York. San Diego County, of course, is Southern California. All right. Gorgeous. One of the most beautiful places on earth. And then you have Onondaga County. That's where Syracuse is. That's where Onondaga Lake. That's the whole like central New York region for the most part. The center of New York. Basically, there's like 3 main counties in central New York where it's Onondaga, it's Cortland County, and there's also Madison County for the more rural area as well, right? But Onondaga County has Syracuse in it. The amount of daylight within Onondaga County on average is off by like 3 hours when compared to San Diego County on average. It's due to like how far north we are, just the climate here in general. It's not good. I don't get enough daylight as it is. And you're going to tell me that, you're going to take some away like for half of the year. Like, come on, dude. Like, what's the point? Like, look, at least if we're going to have wintertime, let's at least have a little daylight, right? I mean, over here, you wake up, it's dark. You go to bed, of course, it's dark again. Like, you don't even have a chance during your workday to see the daylight, And this is kind of the same idea across the entire, like, northern part of the United States. It was the same thing in Washington as well, right? You wake up to go to work. Let's say it's 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. It's pretty dark, okay? By the time you get off of work, 5 o'clock, dark again. You didn't have a chance to see daylight, That's why people are like zombies, Like there's a thing in Seattle, if you're living there, it's called the Seattle Freeze. And I'm sure if you lived in the Pacific Northwest, you know exactly what this is. But pretty much the concept of the Seattle Freeze is that if you're moving there and you're sort of acclimating into society in the Seattle area, nobody is going to talk to you. They're basically going to give you the cold shoulder. For whatever reason, people don't like to warm up to outsiders. That's kind of what you're considered if you're moving there. They call you a transplant, right? And I think a lot of that comes down to, a lot of Amazon workers moving in, just a lot of tech people moving there in general. And, part of it, of course, is like the gentrification of things and Seattle losing its culture over time. So that's understandable. So, you can kind of understand why people who live in Seattle and have lived there for a long time are a little bit standoffish, right? But I think part of it is the sunshine as well. You know what? The funny thing about the weather, right? Being from upstate New York, we have a very unique weather climate here, right? I would say that the Seattle area is also pretty unique for similar reasons. Now, in the Syracuse area, upstate New York, of course, it's notorious here for bad winters, right? We get a lot of snow, we get a lot of wind. And the thing is like, it's not just the winters, though. In the summertime, we have thunderstorms. There have been summers here where I have seen tornadoes, funnel clouds popping up. I've been with my mom in the car one time. We were driving, just going to the store or something. And next thing you know, there's hail in front of us. We can't see 3 feet in front of the car. And the wind is going sideways. There was a freaking like tornado warning, it turns out. And we're in the car. What do you do in a scenario like that? So that's the summertime. Summertime is inclement, thunderstormy weather all the time. And then in the wintertime, it's just blizzards. Really, I would say the only nice time of year here is at the tail end of winter when it's just turning into spring and the snow starts melting. There's something refreshing about the environment around here when the snow finally melts and it almost seems like the earth comes out of its shell, right? And the flowers start blooming and birds start chirping and all this other stuff. Sun comes out, pretty much everything like right after daylight savings starts, right? But the thing is, that doesn't start until like May. So by the time that even happens, it's already almost summertime. There really is no transition for spring. Spring almost doesn't exist. It just basically, it's a brief snow melting period straight into summer. Like right up until Memorial Day, you don't even know if the snow's going to go away, It's insane. So comparing upstate New York to the Seattle area, though, the time frames are very similar. I mean, both the West and the East, it turns out, do have seasons, right? The difference, though, is that in the Seattle area, instead of snowing during the winter, oh my God, it's raining, right? Those rumors are true. It gets very, very wet in the West Coast. I would say, though, that it's different, though, from what you might consider rainy in the East Coast. You know, I've got a little bit of experience with this. Full disclosure, I did live in the Seattle area for 10 years of my life. I finally moved back here a couple of years ago at this point, right? But when you're living in the Seattle area and it's wintertime, yeah, it's rainy. But what's rainy over in the East Coast and upstate New York and what's rainy over there are very different things, okay? Rainy over here in New York means that, oh my God, you're going to get splashed by giant raindrops. It's going to be heavy. You're going to get soaked. Yada, yada, yada. Thunderstorms, madness, you know, floods, all sorts of stuff like that, right? In Seattle, it is different. The rain is different. It's much more, I don't even know how to describe it. It's lighter. It's a lighter rain. I don't know why that would be. I mean, maybe it's just because of the Pacific coast as opposed to the Atlantic coast. Maybe it's like the whole lake effect situations too. But the rain on the West Coast is lighter. If it's rainy in the wintertime over there, it's called rain. Over here, we call it showers. Rain versus showers. Turns out there's a difference. You know? Over there, it's almost misty. Like, yeah, it's gonna be rainy, but that just means that everything is just kind of, it's almost dewy. You know, it's like a mist of rain, as opposed to over here where it's like a torrential situation. You know, so yeah, West Coast winters rainy, sure, but it's not that bad. Like, yeah, it's wet, it's gray, it's dreary, but it's kind of similar to what you might be able to expect in London, for example, right? But probably with better food, you know? But then again, you know, in the Seattle area, I mean, I mentioned they have seasons, right? But it's not like here where, like, you know, upstate New York is a very distinct seasonal changes, right? Where there's summertime where it gets hot, like actually hot and humid. Like, I'm talking like over here, man, it gets like 90 plus. A significant amount. You'd be surprised how warm it gets in New York. But it's also very humid, which really sucks. Because you get sweaty, you get hot. Don't even bother going outside. You better have a swimming pool, you know? Like, you need air conditioning if you're living here. You do. So it's very hot in the summers. Of course, the fall speaks for itself. Upstate New York falls are, you know, they're famous for the tree changes and apple orchards and all that stuff. Love the fall. I'm a fall baby, right? My birthday's in September. I love the fall. My favorite season, for sure. And then there's the winters. I'm not going to get into it, but Hey Arnold, there was an episode on there about a snow blizzard, and the mailman says, I hate the rain, I hate the snow, I hate the rain, and I hate the snow. And I feel the exact same way, man. You know, like, I get it. And then the spring, which is, again, just sort of the snow melting season. And then we're back into summer again. You know, very distinct seasons. I mean, spring is short, right? But it is distinct. On the West Coast, yes, they have seasons where they have summer, which is not a cloud in the sky for 3 to 4 months straight. It is clear, not humid. It's warm, but not too hot. I'm saying that Seattle summers are like perfect summers. I really mean it. There's nothing like it. Like, there's nothing like a mid-June day, you know, right before summer really hits, where it's like 70 degrees outside, the sun is shining, not a cloud in the sky. The entire world seems just perfect. You know, it's like a perfect, like, West Coast day. You know, it is not always gray in Seattle. 3 to 4 months out of the year, the summer season is it's a very nice summer. And then the fall comes, and yeah, you might get a little bit less sunshine, a little bit of rain. And then it transitions into winter, which is pretty much nonstop rain. And then it gets into spring, which maybe a little bit more sunshine, but also pretty much nonstop rain. The rain just does not end. similar to how the snow over here does not end until the summer. So there really is a parallel between the West Coast seasons and the East Coast seasons, where over there they get rain, over here we get snow. That's really the only difference. But if anything, I would say the summers here are way worse just because of the thunderstorms. They don't get thunderstorms in the West Coast. They're pretty much unheard of. They're very rare. It's really strange. I wasn't prepared for that. I was like, oh yeah, well, summertime's coming. That means, we're going to get showers and thunderstorms. Nah, they just don't. They just don't. The weather in upstate New York is way worse than it is in Seattle. So even if people tell you that the Seattle weather, oh, it's rainy all the time. Nah, man. If you're from upstate New York, you are so ready. Trust me. Okay. It's going to be nice. Anyways, I won't go on too much about weather. Actually, full disclosure though, I do know a little bit about weather. Before I move away from this topic, it does really fascinate me. Just, I guess you can call it an earth science. I do think it's really interesting. Just how, especially being from the area that I'm from, how it all works, I mean, over in upstate New York, we do have a thing called lake effect, which affects a great deal of our weather. And then we also have something else called nor'easters, which are the winds that go up the Atlantic coastline, causing bad weather from there as well. So we really kind of have a double whammy situation in this area, which makes the weather really interesting, I guess you could say. One of my professors in college, yes, I did go to college. One of my meteorology professors, that was the elective for science that I decided to take. It's because it's interesting. He was the weatherman for News Channel, I believe 9 in this area. His name is Dave Eichhorn. Great guy, very informative. I think these days he's up to woodworking. He's no longer doing the weatherman stuff, but he is a super intelligent guy. And I couldn't have learned from a better teacher. I feel like I learned a lot. So weather is interesting to me. So if weather bores you, I am so sorry. Okay. But hey, if you're from the same area as me, you might find it interesting too. Anyways, moving on. I do want to talk about a couple of things. All right. Number one, me and Kate and I, we were out shopping the other day. She's still waiting to start her new job. She starts on Monday. I believe it's actually on St. Patrick's Day is her first day. So, hey, she's got her passport ready. She's got her social security card ready. She's ready to get started. Trust me. All right. It's been a rough couple of weeks. We're getting through it. Everything's going to be fine. She's going to start. No big deal. Okay. She's really excited to get started, as you can imagine. But we were out shopping, just getting some food, getting some stuff from Walmart, whatever. It was like right after I got off of work, we went to the store. And, I get off of work pretty late. I work from home, but I work West Coast hours, right? So I get off of work at what would normally be 5 o'clock on the West Coast, is 8 o'clock here, right? So I clock out at 8. I have just enough time to maybe go to a couple stores before they close, So we go over to Walmart and get our things, get some food, whatever. And then afterwards, we're hungry. It's almost 10 o'clock at this point. And we're like, okay, well, after the discussion I had last week, it really is top of mind for me about the fast food price situation, So I ask her, hey, what do you want to eat? Because she's hungry. I'm hungry. We got to get something, and it's going to be quick, So we're not going to go to Applebee's this time. Okay. I know that they're probably open, but it's getting late. I'm not going to sit down and get Applebee's right now, So she says, hey, you know what? I haven't had Wendy's in a while. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? Wendy's sounds pretty good. I also haven't been to Wendy's in a while. Let me tell you, folks. Look, McDonald's, I think, might be a little bit unreasonably priced these days. And Wendy's is a next fucking level of expensive. I couldn't believe it. We're at the drive-thru. And again, I have this all top of mind. I'm like, oh, you know what? The quarter pounder with cheese at McDonald's, $11.79 for a combo. That's nuts. Compared to, Applebee's $10 deal, it's nuts. Looking at the menu at Wendy's, however, a combo meal, I don't think that there was a single combo meal that was less than $14. It's absurd how much Wendy's costs. And I don't necessarily understand why either. Like, is there a particular reason that Wendy's costs more than even McDonald's does? I mean, look, I understand McDonald's, even relatively speaking, they are still cheaper than most of the other fast food places you could go to. I understand that. Okay. But Wendy's, what the hell's going on, man? Like, okay, Kate wanted a chicken club. And I also wanted like the spicy version of the chicken club. A couple of combo meals, fries and a drink with those. It came out to $30 after tax and everything. Over $30. And again, putting it into perspective, my mom and I went to Applebee's and spent $20. $25 after tip, right? But to go to Wendy's and spend $30 for what objectively is lesser food, objectively, it's not as good as Applebee's, I have to say. All right. You might love Wendy's. All right. But there's something to be said about the quality of Wendy's these days. I think it's a post-COVID thing, but let me tell you, their fries are not as good as they used to be. All right. I think they tried this whole thing where they wanted to make their fries crispier for delivery. So they try a new recipe for the fries. And you know what Wendy's used to have for French fries? I wasn't a huge fan, but they were unique, right? Where it was like these like fresh cut potatoes, French fried. But it was like, it was very potato-y, But now when you get Wendy's fries, you might as well get Burger King. There's really not much difference between them and any other fast food chain at this point. At least before, it almost tasted fresh, the way that their French fries were. Again, I wasn't necessarily a huge fan. I thought they were a little bit too on the potato-y side. I'm more of a fan of the shoestring style, or like Arby's curly fries or something. Those are great too, right? But now they've just degraded. And they weren't even that warm either. It's just like, what the hell, man? $30 for Wendy's? It's insane. And let me tell you, okay, that sandwich I had, it was like the ghost pepper chicken thing, I was like, all right, give me the ghost pepper thing, no ranch. I don't like ranch. I get it. I bite into it. I'm like, yeah, it tastes okay, but it's not worth like $15 for the sandwich. Look, I'm of the opinion that fries have become super duper inflated and there's no reason for it. You go to McDonald's, you get a large fry, it's like $5. Is there a reason that a large fry should be $5? No. There's no reason that a potato is $5. One single cut up potato, $5. That doesn't make any sense. Okay. I'm over it. I'm over it, man. Like, I already kind of don't eat that much fast food anymore anyway. I've been trying to not eat so much fast food, right? Like, yeah, I'll have it every now and then in a pinch, but it's not something I'm going to actively go out and get, I'm over it. It's not worth it to get fast food anymore. At this point, I'm like, you know what? I'll just go home. I'll make something. I'll heat up some soup or something, whatever. At least that's more reasonable. And honestly, it's probably going to be more filling. It's probably going to even probably taste better at the end of the day too. And you know what? My wallet's going to be a lot happier for it. If I don't have the option to go to some place like where I could sit down and have a reasonably priced meal, I'm just not going to eat out. I think that's the point where I'm at now. Unless it's like a smaller place, all right, which is a different story. I'm willing to spend a little bit more than Applebee's to go to a nicer local place, right? For example, yesterday, I met up with my friend Alex. I haven't seen him in it must be 10 years now. He's doing great. He was my roommate in college. Me, him, and Vinny, who, I'll probably bring on here at some point. We're all dorm mates, right? As well as Kwame, of course, but he lived down the hall. We had our own little friend group, but Alex and I, we lived in the same double room together. We shared a room. It was like a suite situation, but, Alex was my old roommate in college. And, he came over, showed him my apartment, and we decided to go get a bite to eat down at the Cortland Diner. Just talked about it last week when they were closed on Sunday, right? But this was Saturday. So they were open, right? So we went and got some dinner down at the Cortland Diner. And let me tell you, man, I love the Cortland Diner. I'm probably going to talk about it all the time. But I got a hot cup of coffee with little advertisements on the cup. Got a cup of water with little advertisements on the cup. And I had a plate, big plate, with French fries. And it was like a barbecue burger thing. And a pickle slice on the side, too. For both of our meals together, he got like a breakfast burrito situation. Both of our meals together, $30. Okay? $30. For two people, sit down place, friendliest staff of all time, a bunch of sweethearts working there. All right. $30. Or you can go to fucking Wendy's. What's it gonna be? You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. And I was talking to Alex about this too, and he had some opinions about the fast food prices versus the cost analysis of running the sit down restaurant, right? It doesn't add up. Like, why would I, for the price of actually going to a sit down place and ordering some delicious food that's local, why would I ever go to Wendy's? In what universe does that make sense? Maybe you can consider it a convenience charge. There's that argument to be made. But on the convenience side of things, yes, it's convenient for the customers, sure. But I would say that making that food is also convenient for the business themselves. So shouldn't it just be cheaper in that case? They've fully utilized their kitchens to create whatever is on their menu, At any normal restaurant, they have the ingredients and they got to put everything together. But if you go to Wendy's, guess what? They have everything ready to be made all of the time. Do you think everything's fresh, made to order? Probably not. They probably got burgers sitting there for a minute or two, just waiting to be put onto a bun, So it doesn't make any sense in that regard either, right? So it doesn't make sense with the head count. It doesn't make any sense with the ingredients and the utilization and the convenience side of things, right? It doesn't make sense at all. So folks, little tidbit from me, just go to a restaurant. Don't go to Wendy's. Don't go to McDonald's. If you're going to go to anywhere, at least just get something quick off of the value menu, but never order a combo meal. It's just not worth it. It's just not. Okay? Get a McChicken, and that's it. All right? Don't let them let you get if you get a Big Mac meal, you get a this and that. No, forget it. Even a freaking Happy Meal, How much is that now? And the toys are even cheaper than they used to be. Fast food's nuts. Don't bother. Just don't bother. That's it for that topic. Until next time. All right. I'm sure I'll have more to talk about soon. I do have a couple of things to talk about. Some online things that I was dealing with recently. Okay. Let's talk about the two sides of Reddit. Okay. Now, who here who's listening uses Reddit? I'm sure there's a fair amount of people here. I mean, most people use like Facebook, Instagram, whatever. Redditors are a different breed. Okay. It's more of a forum situation where, generally speaking, if you're going to join a subreddit, you probably got some strong opinions about stuff, or at the very least are a fan of something and want to join in on a conversation, right? Instead of being a passive consumer of some sort of content, in Reddit, you have to be an active consumer. where you engage with people. You know, it's very different. It's a different kind of atmosphere. But now, I'm a member of several subreddits. All right, 2 of which are r/bipolar2, which we'll get into that, and also r/quit vaping. Okay, so r/bipolar2. Here's a little news about me, something you probably didn't know before. I have been diagnosed with bipolar type 2 disorder. Now, before we even get in the Reddit side of things, what is that? Well, bipolar type 2 is it's a brain disorder, of course. It's a mood disorder, a behavioral disorder, I guess you could call it, to a certain degree, where you might experience brief periods of what's called hypomania, where you get hyper, almost like ADHD type symptoms, where either you're hyper focusing on things or you're not focusing at all on things, but either way, your mood is highly elevated, followed by what I would call a crash out, where it almost feels like your entire life falls apart and it goes to shit, right? And it can end in some sort of catastrophe, right? You know, typically people who have bipolar 2, you know, they go through a really rough time in life, just getting through, unless they're medicated and they do therapy and things like that, which I do. Okay. I'm very proactive about mental health. So I do want to put that out there too. I am okay. All right. I'm fine. Trust me, I am fine. Especially because I do outlets such as this, right? Creative outlets. I feel like these are the types of things that I can do that make me feel really good about myself. Okay. It is difficult for me to be vulnerable with people, I will say. But doing things creatively and making something that is tangible and that I can share with people makes me feel really good. Okay. So that's kind of part of the reason I'm doing this, so that I can have just an avenue for me to just talk about stuff that I'm thinking about without bothering anybody. Okay. If you want to listen, feel free. You can always skip. I think that's fine. All right. So anyways, here I am yapping. Bipolar 2. Okay. It's what I have. And you know, the way that I manage it, I do therapy every week. Thursday mornings, I talk with Lindsay. She's great. She's a great listening ear. And then, you know, Thursday morning, I talk to Lindsay right before I clock into work. And then I'm ready for the day. All right. Never missed an appointment. There was only one time where I accidentally slept through it. And she was very forgiving. All right. I apologize profusely. I'll never do it again. And, you know, over time, as I'm doing like these podcast things, I'll talk a little bit more about bipolar 2 and how it affects me and how it affects my life and things like that. But just understand that there are hypomanic periods where you go through like an elevated, overly optimistic thing, followed by a crash out depressive period. And with bipolar type 2, the differences between this and bipolar type 1 is that bipolar type 2 is longer depressive periods. Okay. And bipolar type 1, instead of having hypomanic periods, they have manic periods. Bipolar type 1, the best way that I describe it is that bipolar type 1 is like the Kanye West bipolar, right? Kanye being a Nazi bipolar. That's bipolar type 1. You know what I mean? Bipolar type 2, it's just chill, okay? Like that'll be like your friend who out of nowhere really perks up and then is just kind of mopey and quiet most of the time. You know, that's bipolar type 2. All right. So yeah, I manage mine through therapy and medication, right? And I'm not going to go into what medications work for me, but I will say Wellbutrin is great. Okay. But anyway, I'm in this bipolar type 2 Reddit community, r/bipolar 2. And somebody made a post on there, and so here's my toxic trait of the day. I don't mind arguing on the internet. Okay. I'm going to come out and say it. Okay. If somebody says something stupid online, you know, I don't mind saying something in the comments. Okay. I'm not a bully. I will say it. Okay. I'm calling it right now. I don't bully people. But if somebody has a bad opinion about something, I don't mind chiming in. All right. I will say that. So somebody posted on r/bipolar2 a post that said, weather is so bipolar. And they had a tangent in their whole message thing. Sorry, it wasn't a tangent. That's the wrong word. They described that, when people use the phrase, the weather is bipolar, it offends them. Okay. And they went on to describe when people use the term bipolar to describe weather and things like that, as somebody who has bipolar, it hurts my feelings. Now, I consider this to be pretty stupid. Look, I understand, okay, why somebody might identify as being bipolar, and hearing the term used in a way that they don't identify with could hurt their feelings in some weird way, okay? But what I will say is that the literal definition of bipolar is related to extremes, not necessarily the mental disorder itself, okay? The term bipolar, and let me just pull up the definition right now, okay? But it's going to be of or relating to two extremes, such as poles. For example, North Pole, South Pole, bipolar, okay? Two extremes, tippy top, bitty bottom, all right? That's the idea. Now, with bipolar disorder, the two extremes are mania and depression. It's like a boomerang. You swing one way, you swing right back the other way, right? So the fact that this person found this annoying or was upsetting them, or they were offended by it, whatever, it kind of irked me. So I left a comment. All right. And I'm just going to pull it up. Actually, this is kind of funny. So I left a comment on their post, and, I described to them that, hey, the term literally means what I just described, which is, hey, this is related to two extremes and not necessarily only exclusively for the bipolar disorder. So I left this comment on this post, and the person replied to me and said that, gee, thanks, you're a jerk. And then they deleted their post. Man, I don't understand, right? Like, I left a comment. I'm like, you know what? You don't have to be so offended by this. It's literally the definition. Okay. Okay. Here's the exact comment that I made. And okay, maybe it is a little bit on the snarky side. Okay. Yeah, this weather is so bipolar. Okay. So my comment was, I think you might be in the minority here. I live in New York, and yes, the weather is pretty freaking bipolar this time of year, being in the middle of winter. All right. Warm one day, freezing the next. Let me just say, today, 30 degrees. This coming Tuesday, it's going to be 62. Okay. It's pretty freaking bipolar. There's really no other way to describe it, right? And if there is, I'd love to hear it, right? But bipolar fits it to a T. All right. Now, I went on to go, it's not really an offensive phrase, especially when you consider the etymology of the term bipolar, which literally means having or relating to two poles or extremities. Using the phrase to describe weather is literally appropriate and is a correct use of the word. All right. Now, somebody commented who wasn't the original poster, and they said, next time you want support, I hope you're treated in kind. You're being an asshole. OP just wanted support. Literally no need to comment with a condescending remark. My God, did you never learn basic human decency? Sorry, basic human decency. Get off the internet for a while and chill the fuck out. This is a reply to my comment, explaining how bipolar is not offensive. It shouldn't be offensive. It's a literally correct word. Okay. Now, I respond back, okay? I don't want to start an argument, okay? I say, sorry, my bad. Didn't mean to be condescending, but people get offended over such little things, and it's pretty annoying, okay? And I left it at that. Now, again, the original poster did delete their post, so that's gone, all right? They took it back because it turns out I wasn't the only one in this thread telling them that this is something silly to get offended by, right? Somebody else said, I don't understand. I have never understood. To me, it's just not that big of a deal, and everyone understands what's being said. I'll take my downvotes now. That's what they said. Somebody else said the word bipolar existed before it became a medical term. We can't erase the term and claim it. Okay. Oh, and by the way, the original poster said, you're welcome to scroll on by if you disagree. Okay. All right, dude. And somebody else said, yeah, it's so annoying for sure. I'm over life at this point, though. Okay. You know, that's the thing about this bipolar sub. People come in here to talk about bipolar disorder. They come in here to vent as well. But there are also some genuinely concerning comments, I will say. And situations like this, you know, I'm more than happy to like report somebody, just to send them like a crisis text line message, just like a Reddit cares sort of thing, right? Now, as somebody who has bipolar disorder, I'm not trying to like go on the internet and get support, because I'm at the point in my life where I know if I need support, I can go find it, right? I don't need to throw it out into the abyss necessarily. There is a certain onus that's on you when you have bipolar disorder or any other mental disorder, that this is your affliction and it's up to you to own it, you know? Now, I'm not going to be like a mental health guru or anything like that. And even what I'm saying might be triggering or offensive to some people, right? But what I will say is that nobody can cure you unless you help yourself. You know, you have to go and seek the help that you might need. If something doesn't work, it will be up to you to try something else. But there isn't going to be anybody in your life who will be able to say, here's what's wrong with you, and I will fix it. That's not how it works. You have to fix you. It's up to you. But at any rate, I'll leave that at that. Just a little spat on r/bipolar 2, okay? Over nothing. I was describing, hey, bipolar is literally appropriate to describe the weather. People got upset with me over that. Even though other people agree, like, okay, whatever. That's fine. So that's one side of Reddit. The other side of Reddit is in r/quit vaping. Again, sort of a similar community in a lot of ways, actually, because this also contains a lot of people going through a hard time. Now, I was addicted to nicotine. Me, personally, was addicted to nicotine for a while. You know, I started smoking pretty much right after college, cigarettes at the time, before eventually I moved over to vaping, when that really kind of started popping off. And then I, you know what? I got really, really addicted to vaping. Let's be honest. At first it was like the cartridges things, and then I was getting the juice, until I eventually settled on Juul pods. Okay. Now, from my personal experience, quitting vaping is probably the hardest thing that I have ever done. It was not easy to quit because it becomes so ingrained in your habits that it really is almost impossible to put down. It's muscle memory, you know? Even to this day, there is that little tiny itch where I'm like, oh, I could go for a puff like right now. But let me tell you, there are some things that worked for me to get me to quit. and it only took one try. Okay. So spoiler alert, that's related to actually a book. It's called Easy Way by Alan Carr. If you're looking to quit, definitely recommend checking it out. But honestly, if you're thinking about quitting, I'll give you the rundown here. And it's basically what I'm going to be posting in this, or talking about with this post I made in this subreddit. Okay. So let me actually go ahead and pull up this post really quick. And I'll just tell you what happened in this post in r/quit vaping and what I said. That actually got quite a bit of upvotes. All right. So yeah, we're getting to a little bit of a Reddit talk here, but yeah, that's how it goes, right? That's what a lot of content comes from these days. So this user said on r/quit vaping, Alan Carr's Easy Way is BS. They go on to say, I'm a week in and have been listening to the Easy Way to Quit Vaping. And I got to say, this guy makes a lot of empty promises. Literally everything I read is the exact opposite of the reality of this addiction. He mentions that it isn't a crutch, doesn't cure boredom, and that we will instantly notice better health, happiness, calmness, relaxation. I find this to be a load of shit, and so far I feel just about the exact opposite of all of this. They go on to say, I'm currently in the gym after having a great day of work, but don't get me wrong, I feel like I'm going insane from lack of nicotine. I'm barely getting a pump on. My mind is all over the place. Haven't been able to sit still for a second without cravings going through the roof. Some more realistic words of encouragement would be greatly appreciated right now because I'm struggling to maintain any reason to not buy a new vape. So this post, this guy's going through a hard time, right? Quitting nicotine is not easy. I mean, that's the nature of it, right? It's just not easy. Even I've been a year without nicotine and I can almost feel it still in my bloodstream. Or at least I'm aware that I don't have it in me, you know? Like there's a hole in my body where it used to be that is now empty, you know? Not easy to quit. Not easy at all. People try all sorts of different things. They try the gum, they try the patches, whatever. And what worked for me is honestly going cold turkey. I mean, that's just kind of how it has to be. Like you're either in or you're out. You got to jump off the wagon and stay off, you know? But with me, there were a few tips that I got from this Easy Way thing that I ran with and it worked. Okay. So my comment on this post, and this is also my advice to you all, if you're looking to quit nicotine or honestly any bad habit, this could apply to it. Okay. So listen here to 3 steps to get you to quit. I've been nicotine and vape free for over a year now. The first attempt worked because of Easy Way. I didn't even finish the book, only the first 2 or 3 chapters, and that was enough. I got the idea and ran with it. 3 steps, folks. All right. Number 1, kill the monster. When you have nicotine, you put a monster inside of you that craves more nicotine. When that monster has some nicotine, it becomes happy. Wow, nicotine. Isn't it great? Wow, that monster's fed. He's happy. But after a little while, that monster gets hungry again. And you know what happens when that monster gets hungry? It gets angry. It gets upset. It gets irrational. That monster needs more nicotine to survive. And if it gets hungry, it's going to let you know about it. So, rinse and repeat, you know, to keep the monster happy, you have more nicotine. Then it calms down. And then it gets hungry again. It gets angry. More nicotine. It calms down. But then it gets hungry. You got to have some more. It calms down. Rinse and repeat. You are now addicted to nicotine. Just like that. That little monster inside of you, well, he's sticking around for a while as long as you keep giving it that nicotine. So, The goal to quitting, and this is the easiest way to picture it in my head, and it sets a challenge for yourself to make it a tangible goal. Kill the monster. The goal to quitting is to kill that little bastard inside of you. That little monster. It's like a parasite. It eats away at your psyche. But that's irrelevant. All it wants to do is have more nicotine. And if it doesn't have it, by golly, it's going to let you know about it. Okay? It's going to get angry until you give it more. So what do? How do you kill this little freak inside of you? Well, you got to starve it to death by not giving it any more nicotine. You have to let that little monster inside of you shrivel up and die. Let it suffer. Let it suffer until it's dead. You have to starve the monster to death until it doesn't make a sound anymore. That's right. You need to kill the monster inside of you. Let it die. Just let it go. It'll shut up eventually, all right? It's going to be angry at first. It's going to be real hungry. But once you let it starve, it's gone for good. That's step 1. Kill the monster. Step 2. The feeling of anguish when you're going through withdrawal. You know, that feeling like, oh, God. Oh, man. Oh, I could really go for some nicotine right now. You know, as that monster's suffering, you're going to feel a lot of like, you're going to feel like shit, right? Well, that feeling of anguish, well, guess what? That's the feeling of success. This is just a matter of perception. But if you literally imagine that craving feeling that you get is attributed to you succeeding and winning, and thus is a good and positive feeling, well, you can flip the script. Simple enough. Instead of feeling like you're craving it, you'll be craving the craving. The feeling of craving that you have is euphoric. Think about it. If you're sitting there and you're just riding it out, just that craving feeling like, ooh, yeah, that's me beating this thing. That becomes euphoria. You can almost ride out that craving feeling as if it's a drug itself. You know, that's all you have to do. Just ride it out. Flip the script in your head. You're not having a hard time if you flip the script and understand that feeling you have is success. The feeling you have is a good feeling. The feeling you have is winning. The feeling you have is you climbing the hill. The feeling you have, it's like if you're working out and your muscles get sore, right? Well, that's how you get gains. In the end, you're going to be stronger for it. That's success. It takes a little bit of trying, but honestly, you don't even have to try that hard. All you have to do is literally nothing. It's the easiest thing in the world to do nothing. I love doing nothing, you know? I love doing nothing. You know? If anything, quitting vaping is one less thing to do. You know? It's one less story, one less trip to the store you got to make. It's one less, basically one less bill you got to pay. Whatever. Ride out the suffering because it's actually a good feeling. The suffering that you're feeling is euphoric. You need to ride out the suffering as if it's a drug itself. All right? So number 1, kill the monster. Number 2, anguish equals euphoria. And number 3, and this is an easy one, tobacco companies are evil and profit off of people suffering. And that's it. I saved you an entire audiobook. Congratulations. You just quit vaping. As long as you follow those 3 steps, that's it. I swear to God, that's all it takes. It's more than just listening to the words. The book won't do the work for you, you know? But if you really kind of go with the concept of it, it becomes very, very simple to quit. whatever bad habit you might have. This works for vaping. It works for smoking. It works for, I mean, it's not going to work for like something like heroin, right? But it could work for alcohol. If you're trying to quit drinking, it could work for weed, whatever, you know? If you're going through a hard time and you're trying to give up a bad habit, these steps will work. Okay. That little bastard monster you put inside of you, well, that's addiction. That's what it is. You're feeding your addiction every time you feed that little bastard. Okay. You just need to let it starve. You know, it's not doing you any good. It's a monster, man. Get that troll out of that bridge. So yeah. Anyway, I made that post on this Reddit post. The OP responded back. They said, "Thanks, man. Great summary, and it does make sense. I will roll with this mindset from now on." Somebody else commented. They said, "Great comment. This has motivated me, so thank you." You know, I'm not one to toot my own horn, right? But I love the fact that there are a couple of people who read my comment and it may have pushed them over the edge into quitting. You know, that is awesome. That is me doing like positive karma, and that feels great. You know, nicotine sucks. Nicotine really, really sucks. And I don't care if you're vaping, you're smoking, you're using Zyn pouches, whatever, you know, none of it's doing anything for you. All right. It really doesn't do anything. Like, you know, at first what nicotine will do is it'll give you that like little head buzz. All right. But all that little head buzz is after a while is, that becomes the status quo. And really all nicotine does is bring you back to basic. You know, nicotine is just literally something that goes into your body to make you go through a withdrawal so you have more nicotine. That's all it is. Nicotine will create a void that forces you to continue to fill it. It's negative. It's a negative thing. It doesn't add anything. You put it in you to bring you back to basic, and then it just depletes the hole that it made for itself. Just so you can fill it again. Rinse and repeat. All right. Kill the monster. All right, folks. Kill the little bastard inside of you. You don't need it. You're better off without it. Trust me. And you know what? That's how to get started, right? The real challenge comes when you quit nicotine or whatever. They say the challenge really comes in threes, right? 3 days after you quit, you will feel like, I finally made it to the other side, but oh my God, I could really go for one right now. Don't do it. That's the first hurdle, is day 3. Once the nicotine has fully left your body, you're going to feel great. Great to the point that you feel like, oh, I could just slip one in and it'll be okay. Nope, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do that like slow quitting shit. It doesn't work. You're in or you're out. Are you having nicotine or are you not? You know, if you do the slow quitting thing, I swear to God, it's not going to work. All right. All it takes is one more extra puff and boom. All of a sudden that slow stuff means nothing. All right. Any nicotine at all is bad. So 3 days, 3 weeks. Well, you're almost a month in. Oh my God, I did it. That's crazy. I can't believe I've gone this long. Oh, I could reward myself right now. I'll reward myself by just one little puff, right? Oh, I've earned it. Oh man, just one little puff. I've made it 3 weeks. That's crazy. Don't do it. Don't do it. You're going to put that hole right back in yourself and you're going to fall right off that well again. Just like you, don't do it. Don't do it. And then 3 months. 3 months into quitting, you will say, oh my God, I have done it. I'm way past it. You know what? I'm so good. Even if I do vape, it's not going to do anything. So I might as well just, it's not going to hurt to have one. Don't do it. Don't fucking do it. Those threes, man. That's the It's the temptation, right? That's what it is. Like, you'll feel like you can do anything at a certain point. So who cares? I'll just do it anyway. Nah. That's not how it works. You're on or you're off. All the way on or all the way off. Are you vaping or are you not? Right now, I'm not. No nicotine for over a year. And you know what? I'm going to put myself on a pedestal for it too. All right. I feel great. And I wish you could feel great too if you currently vape or if you currently have nicotine. I feel great and I want you to feel great too. Do better for yourself. All right. It's a waste of fucking money. Trust me. Ask me how I know. 10 years, folks. Over 10 years. Every day. Holy fuck. You know how much money I spend on Juul pods? I was vaping a lot more than most people probably do. I was going through a $20 pack of Juul pods a day, my guy. A 4-pack of Juul pods. A day. A day. That shit adds up, my friend. So maybe I'm a little bit of an extreme case, but holy smokes. I quit. I'm over it. And I'm more than happy to impart a little bit of knowledge if you're interested in quitting too. You know? I did it alone. I didn't have anybody quitting with me. You got to make a decision and just go with it. You know what I did? I set a date. I said, you know what? End of February. That's it. No more. I'm done. I'm out. I said, you know what? I'll give myself one weekend just to quit. I'm going to have a bad time. And then after that weekend's over, I will have no nicotine in my body and I will just stick with it. And that's what I did. I had a bad weekend. And after the weekend was over, all the nicotine was out of my body. The hard part after that was getting rid of the habit of putting a thing up to my mouth all the time. And I replaced that with bubblegum. There you go. Bubble gum. Delicious. Just chewed a lot of bubblegum. Because you get that kind of biting sensation, you know? You got to bite something. That's what I get. It feels like I'm teething, you know? But it's gone. I'm better. After a while, I stopped chewing bubblegum too. And there we are. I'm on the other side. No more nicotine. And I really hope that this guy on Reddit, this weird stranger who goes to the gym a lot, I hope they're going to do better too. They got this. Especially if they go to the gym. You know how hard it is to just get motivated to do that? I mean, I don't. I have a gym membership. I don't go. Maybe I should. Right? You know, like I quit vaping. Maybe I can start something else. But you know what? That's vaping and that's Reddit. You know, positive interactions, kind of negative interactions. It goes all over the place. Have y'all heard about these snark subreddits? These things are crazy. They got snark subreddits for like every kind of like podcast or show out there. It's like hate groups that just exist to spread hatred and rumors about people and do like stalking stuff. It's crazy. If you're a snarker, cut it out. Get a life, man. What are you doing? But anyway, it's been an hour. I'm going to call it here. But hey, I just want you to know, I know we talked about a couple of heavier topics this time. I just want you to know that you are worth it. You're doing an awesome job, no matter what you're doing. And if you ever need help, just know that you have friends and family who are always going to be there for you, even if you don't feel like it. And if you don't have friends and family who are there for you, reach out to me. Reach out to somebody close by. Reach out to somebody you might not normally talk to. Is it a coworker? Your boss? Consider therapy. This video is not sponsored, all right? But there are therapy resources out there that you can utilize that are pretty easy to find if you look into it. Just remember, the only person who can help you get through what you're going through is you. It will be up to you through your difficult times to push through and get the help that you need. All right? Take care of yourself, and I will talk to you soon. That's episode 2 of the JuGrTalk podcast. Thank you very much. And have a great night. Ta-ta.